We're walking along the pavilion on the east side, and we saw the protests in downtown Portland. Well over 1,000 people in response to the Ferguson verdict, and there was some marching around downtown, and I believe across this bridge, or rather the Morrison Bridge right here. So we've seen police going back and forth, a few helicopters moving around a little bit slow, kind of hovering around us. Nothing personal probably, but it's really not that exciting for them. People are pretty well behaved. Talked a little bit tonight with some of the people at the demonstration. There's a lot of focus on just this situation and black men being killed. And without getting too controversial with some folks, I just try to remind people there are bigger issues out there, and we'll see more change in the world when we start to see more awareness when it comes to all the millions dead in the Middle East. And also, the other issue is relationships, love between people. When you start seeing people actually enjoy each other's company more, whether it be in a mass gathering or just between your average man and woman, then we'll see a raising of the vibration on Earth. But until that point, you know, there's just really a lot of anger. You can have a lot of people together that say, hands up, don't shoot, and really be dealing with a lot of confused people. And this is not a video standing with the police officer at all. But I've always been critical of the mass way of thinking. A lot of these protests, you have like a collective mindset, and there's a lot of women there, there's a lot of men there, but you don't see those same young men and women when it comes to other issues. It's like a reactive thing. And younger people should educate themselves, I feel, a little bit more about global politics, the local city's corruption. And that's a big subject. And I'm always trying to remind people to look at, you know, the larger pictures relating to government corruption. And that's something that Occupy could have spent more time on. There was a lot of people down there a couple years ago.
Are they going to take a bridge?
I think they already did go back and forth a few times.
Kind of broke up in splinters.
They went to started at Burnside, right?
And a lot of them walked here, and some of them went in the freeway. So a lot of them walked across
kind
the
of dispersed, though.
Yeah, a lot of them went across the Morrison Street Bridge. Now it's basically back at the Justice Center right now.
They went back to the Justice Center?
Yeah. They just
Mark Hatfield? Is it the Mark Hatfield Federal?
Right where the courthouse is and Chapman Square.
There now?
All that. So.
Yeah, we're way behind them.
Yeah.
So I could just go to the courthouse and
yeah, if you just go down to the Justice Center on the other side of the Hawthorne, other side of the Hawthorne Bridge. I just go across the Hawthorne Bridge, and you'll see him there too. Yeah.
Follow the helicopters. Seems like they're concentrated over there.
I guess a bunch of people went and splintered off, and some of them went down to Old Town. Some of them went across the Burnside Bridge.
Sounds like it's kind of.
Some of them went to the block the freeway a little, I guess. So, yeah, my one friend went and marched with them across the bridge.
All right, have a good night.
I think it was just as good to get those sound bites with the new oncoming police chief and shit like that too, you know?
But there's a sense of loneliness in a crowd, even a crowd that supposedly is screaming revolution. What are we revolting against? There's this one person that said, hey Alex, you know, watch the show for years, but when are we going to start to see some violence? And this is a person, yeah, up in Northwest that I've talked to a few times, and he keeps repeating himself. We're really dealing with the human condition. And when we see more responsibility from men and women in the type of realities they're creating, including relationships, then we'll see other changes. So I'd like to see people living together in harmony outside the dollar system without people breaking up over drama. And that seems to be the issue dividing people, is personalities. You have a lot of people semi in agreement on how corrupt things are, but you have people that refuse to change their lifestyles, people that refuse to live a life outside the dollar system or to work with other people. And it's also complicated by some of the survivalist nut jobs that are out there that are more interested in having their own army than actual friends. And I had that experience recently with 8-digit PDX. So it takes energy, it takes effort to do outreach at some of these events. So I didn't waste too much energy. I didn't use the megaphone. I just talked to a few people to get a vibe. But one thing that even Keith noticed Yeah, there's definitely a lack of what they call white guilt in regards to the war crimes in the Middle East and all the millions dead. And I don't think anybody should be guilty because of what racial background they are. That doesn't sound healthy at all. But to have kind of remorse if they voted for candidates that supported that action, that's what we need to see. We need to see like a greater awareness of the larger things. And that includes local government corruption, knowing about G4S, knowing about HSBC, the criminal banking cartel that has been fined over $1 billion for doing business with the cartels. So when people start looking at the deeper corruption within Portland, maybe we can change things on the local level. But until that takes place, and it's just people responding to what CNN is reporting on, people just responding to what the mainstream media is focusing on, as long as people are just responding to these fads and movements, then it's really just a situation where people are burning off steam, letting off steam, but not actually dealing with the real issues. And in reality, things are getting worse, far worse. I'm not a big fan of the police, but I'm not going to walk up to just any cop and go, hands up, don't shoot. It's kind of weird. So, you know, there's a lot of strange, I guess, slogans, mannerisms that probably could be replaced with other things. And I know that's going to be offensive to some people, but this is really starting to look like a fucking crazy world more and more.
Might be a lot symptomatic of that flag that's flying up in the sky.
And we've got a couple flags over here. I'm not sure what the other flag is. But you know, I have somewhat of a prophecy or a vision for this land that some call Cascadia. If we have a major earthquake where the bridges go down, or something even big like a solar flare that takes out the grid, I think you'd see a lot of cannibalism in Portland. You'd see a lot of human trafficking. You'd see a lot of vegans become flesh eaters because they want to have their supply of tempeh, and for a lot of people, it's a joke to be involved in any level of prepping. And so I think that right here in Portland, with a massive population, at a point in time where there was no power and no food, that you would see some really dark things come out of the people that live in this particular city. And I have no shame or hesitation when it comes to warning people. I've been warning people for years about what I see coming to Portland. And there's a reason why they had Top Off 4 here in 2007. People of Portland should educate themselves, know the history, know the present, and know where we're going from here. Otherwise, we keep repeating the same things over and over and over and expecting different results. We got to change our way of thinking. We have to go deeper down the rabbit hole into the real Portlandia and all that it entails.